channel is live. So hello everyone and welcome once again to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play Blade 68, baby. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right, baby.
Ruby.
I am Christiana Ellis and I am the game master, and playing tonight Mark Kilfoyle as Vesper Varden, aka Silhouette.
You can just call me Syl.
Paul Fisher as Falwell Stoke, aka Crash.
Good evening, baby.
And Jenny Meltzer as Pyretta Blaze, aka Red.
Hi there.
So, when last we left our scoundrels, they were going through their downtime phase, recovering from their disastrous first job where they were set up, betrayed, people tried to kill them, and not even the people that they expected to be trying to kill them. And it just went pretty poorly in general, but they ended up with a briefcase full of secret documents, secret technical specifications for a rocket called Blue Raker 5. So, in between trying to study what they have and determine what they can about it and figure out who might have been trying to steal this information, what might this secret project be intended to do, and also who set them up, what's going on there. So they also blew off some steam and tried to reduce the heat that had been generated from their very loud and messy first job. But now we're going to begin this session with a little bit of contextual detail, and then we will use what the game calls the trouble engine to see what else is happening around our characters. So, first and foremost, we have what's called a ticking time bomb. And as established last time, pretty sure Blue Raker 5 is involved somehow, but we don't know exactly yet what's going to happen, who wants what. There seems to be a lot of moving pieces. But to start, I have a few questions that let's talk about. And so as I ask these, any of you can choose to take the answer as you like and just describe, what you feel the answer to be. Or if nobody feels it, then that's okay too. But, so to begin, who do you know who was recently shaken down by the Bluecoats who were looking for a briefcase which matches the description of the one you have, only not burned?
I know a small time fence, medium time pickpocket named Luis. And if the Bluecoats got around to asking him
Hmm.
if he knew anything about a briefcase that matches the one that we are in possession of, they must be really desperate
Hmm.
because he's not what you get when you scrape the bottom of the barrel. He's what happens when you drill through the bottom of the barrel and dig another 3 feet.
Very nice. As we will discuss in a moment, there have been increased Bluecoat patrols, especially in the docks neighborhood where your whole job took place. So, next question. What is something fundamental about this world that you wish you could change somehow? And there's some examples. For example, the Eternal Night or the Deathlands, which are outside the bubble. The bubble, of course, protects the city from the Deathlands. Um, do you not like that you are not allowed to leave the city without government permission and going through specific ordained portals? Do you not like that a dead person's psychic echo rises as a vengeful ghost? Things like that. What is something fundamental about the world that you wish were different or could be changed?
I wish that last thing
about the dead like becoming vengeful spirits would change because
Mm-hmm.
um Red does not believe that that's true.
Oh,
She thinks it's propaganda.
okay. What do you think is true then?
I believe that we all die and there are places that our spirits could go, but somehow they're blocked by the bubble.
Oh. So it's not that that just happens, it's that something is making it happen when it doesn't have to be that way.
Yes.
Okay. For a second I thought you were just denying that that phenomena exists, and I was going to have
No.
to say, no, it definitely does. But
No.
but yes, but that it is not just like the natural way of the world as it exists now, but that something is causing that to happen in a way that maybe doesn't have to. Okay, great. Um, who is someone you're fond of that works as a test pilot for the Ministry of Discovery?
Want to take that one, Mark?
Ah,
I mean, it might be more natural for Red to know test pilot types, but that doesn't mean it has to be her. If anyone, like, there is one more question after
Oh.
that one, if we're just worried about everybody getting to answer one.
I mean, if Mark doesn't have anybody, I will say that my brother Byron is a
Oh,
test pilot.
okay. So I will say definitely, even though it's your brother, the level of secrecy that is going on at the Ministry of Discovery lately is such that, you know, I think as you discovered searching through that briefcase and looking at the documents and discovering that this is the Ministry of Discovery's baby, your brother, who is a test pilot, never said anything about anything like this. So either not even he knows when he works there, or they have persuaded him that he shouldn't say anything even to you. I will leave it to you to decide which you think is correct. But
I think he's just keeping it from me because he's just that way. He's that type of person that he takes his job very seriously, and if the government says no, he listens.
okay. Are you close with your brother?
Not anymore.
Hmm. Is there a falling out?
We have very different points of view.
Oh. Okay. Well, we'll definitely explore that at some point. Okay. The last question. Who do you know who's recently fallen in with the countercultural protest group known as the Youth Action Movement, or Yammies?
how youthful is youth action?
I mean, it doesn't have to be all young people. It's just called the Youth Action Movement because it's largely like young people and like university students and stuff like that. It doesn't mean everybody involved with it is young. I
I'm
mean,
kind
this
of
is
thinking,
basically it's the title is taking place of hippies, right? It's the
right.
idea, but it's a little bit more organized than that.
I am kind of liking the relative route, so I'm gonna say Vesper's estranged daughter.
Oh, okay. Do we have a name for this daughter?
Carolyn with a
Carolyn.
Y.
Okay. Is she a student?
She was,
Oh, okay.
but she seems to have lost her way and fully committed to this movement.
Mm-hmm.
Still
So
pay for the tuition though.
I was going to say, when was the last time you saw her?
In person? Before she left for college.
Okay. All right. Well, another meaty relationship that I'm sure we will find our way towards exploring at some point, which is exactly, of course, the purpose of these questions. Yay! All right. So now let's talk about the trouble engine. And I'm going to switch our screen here to the Roll20 map, just so people watching the stream can see. you'll note a couple of things on these clocks that we talked about at the end of the last session. They've got advances now, right? Based on die rolls and a couple of other factors based on whether they were being opposed or helped or so on, I have done rolls to determine how close each of these factions is to achieving what their goal is. Now, what their goal is something where you don't necessarily know what it is, but you might decide that you would like to try to find out what it is. Then that's up to you, that, you know, what you might do. You might try to do a job to find that out, for example. But what I can tell you is just in the meta of it, how close they are to getting what they want is represented by these clocks. These clocks do not only tick forward. If they are substantially hindered in what they're trying to do, they can lose ticks. But in the meantime, obviously we've got Blackthorn Park, who was the faction that initially hired you for that job, but then tried to eliminate you as a loose end when it all went bad. Ministry of Discovery, of course. Section 6, which is they're in charge of dealing with paranormal anomalies in the city, and also with handling when anyone dies and needs to have their body controlled before it turns into a resonance echo. We have the Youth Action Movement, of course, which we were just talking about. Lord Skurlock, kind of famous recluse in the city. People usually would have heard the name at least, even if they don't know anything else about him. The Strelai, of course, is the faction that is Silhouette's backing faction, and for that reason, he knows that their goal is to acquire the Dunslow meteorite. But that is something that you could either choose to tell the others or not as you see fit. But that is what they're trying to do. Let me see. I'm trying to. So they understand that they're interested in powerful paranormal entities, and they have heard that the meteorite, which created a crater in the Dunslow neighborhood, which if you look on the map here, it's actually towards the bottom on the center. Right? There's a crater right there. And so there was a meteorite that struck there, and so it is currently very, 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 very protected and controlled, but the Strelai are hoping to try to achieve that at some point. And then the ticking time bomb, as we've talked about. And then here's your own clock for your studying of the briefcase. Also, I have added a little trouble sign here for the Crowfoot. I just realized that I did the little nameplate wrong. It is the docks, not Crowfoot, where the patrols are. But that is a local trouble. And what that means is that if you were to try to do a job in the docks, it would be slightly more difficult because there are a lot of blue coats doing patrols there right now. And so we are now going to use the trouble engine to see if you get any more local troubles or crew troubles. Everybody ready for that?
Yes.
Okay. So you're very fortunate because the crew troubles that we're going to roll on first are something that are based on how much heat you have. But Vesper had such an effective attempt to reduce the heat that we were all in by, connecting with your city council undersecretary contact, that there are 3 tables that you could potentially roll on to see whether you get any troubles. And there's a 0 to 3 table, a 4 to 5 table, and a 6+ table. Because you were going to be on the 6+ table, and now you're on the 0 to 3 table. And the number of dice that you will roll is based on your wanted level, which is currently 0. So you're going to roll 2d6 and take the lower number. This is on page 198 of the PDF if you're looking at that. And so if someone would like to go ahead and do a 0d6 roll, so it's just 2d6 and we'll take the lower number.
All right, I'll do it.
Okay, so the lower number is a 2, which is none. So you have no crew troubles that generate at this time based on your low level.
Groovy, baby.
So if you had been on the 6+ table, for example, even a 1 would have still given you a light crew trouble.
Okay.
So now local troubles. The way that this works is you always start with 2d6 for luck, and then we decide how many more or less dice you roll by. If you have a negative faction status with the citizenry of your local district, which is Silkshore, you take -1d. That's not a problem right now. You don't really have a particular status with them one way or the other. However, if we refresh our memory looking at the factions, for example, you do have a -1 status with the Crowfoot citizenry, but not Silkshore right now. So we don't have that one. If you have a positive faction status, you would take +1d. If any factions are at war in your local district, you would take a -1d. If any faction clocks have completed that seem like they would upset the status quo, you take -1d. If the crew has recently taken action to help with local problems, take +1d. So those are the various things that could affect it, but I think in this case, none of those apply. And so we're going to stick with the 2d6 roll. So
I'll do it.
All right.
Oops. I must
And in
roll
this one, you actually want to
3d6.
roll high. Aha. So in this case, we're taking the higher number, which is a 6, which means, once again, none. So you guys are lucky. There are no new local troubles either. When we do this trouble engine in the future, there's another phase called escalations, which is where it's possible that an existing trouble can get worse. But we are not going to do that this time because we only just did the trouble engine for the first time. So the trouble engine is all of the parts with the faction clocks and then the local trouble and crew trouble and so on that we just did. So now that we've completed that sort of faction element, and of course you did all your downtime stuff last time, now we're ready to go to the planning meeting. I'm going to put us on the planning table screen. So the way this works, just as we kind of briefly talked about offline, is that each of us is going to make up a little opportunity card where you need to only present one detail, and that detail can be either who the client will be, or who the target will be, or what kind of job is it, like to do what. And for example, if you recall when we created your crew sheet, you had your preferred operation, which was, I believe, subterfuge is what you selected, if I'm not mistaken. Although I think it looks like we didn't actually write that down, but I believe that is what you said. So in any case, that you can choose from those, but it can also just be any, like what is the goal of the job, right? And so then once each of us has a card that has just that detail on it, we will do a roll to see for each of them how much would you get paid for doing that job. And then we will choose which of the jobs to pursue, and then collaboratively fill out the rest of the details for it. Does that all make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So just as a starting example, I have my card here at the top. Just for the record, let me be the one to adjust the text on the cards, just because the way it's set up is a little bit tricky. It allows us to move the cards around like this, but it also makes editing the text messy unless you do it just right. So that's why I'm just going to say, you can drag the cards around if you want, but if we're changing the text, let me do that just so that we don't get it messed up.
I can't drag the cards around.
Okay, well,
I don't know if I'm
It's
on the
safer.
wrong thing or not.
It's fine. Let's just leave it as it is.
Yeah, I don't
for
care.
now. So in any case, in my card here, I have proposed that the client would be the Youth Action Movement. I've got a little tier 2 because, even for cards where we have not selected a target yet, we have not specified a target, we need a tier because the tier will tell us, it will inform how much you might get paid for it. And it's worth noting, because this didn't come up during the first job, that you as a crew are tier 0 right now until you advance it, right? If you decide to take on a job against a tier 3 or higher, faction, we're going to be in a situation where if you want to pick a lock, we have to understand you're picking a lock at a tier 3 operation. So your level of effect might be lower because they've got really good security, right? So the point is, a job against a higher tier faction will be more difficult straight up. That's not to say it might not still be worth it, because as a result of the higher tier, you also likely will get paid more. So that's just the balance to keep in mind. So in any case, like I said, my first sort of suggestion here, you could take a job from the Youth Action Movement. And in this case, I would call that a tier 2 job. But does anyone have an idea for your suggested opportunity?
I want to find out more about who set us up, which means finding out what the remaining twin knows. So I think they should be our target.
So that's absolutely one way to go. Another alternative on the same direction as I might just suggest is you could potentially try to take a job with them as your client to see if you could get closer to them and maybe repair some of the damage. I'm only mentioning that as another way that you could also take that question. But if you would rather have it be a more adversarial thing, also totally okay.
I do like the idea of like trying to repair that, because we were set up and her sister paid the price.
Yeah.
Which means they were also set up. So,
right. Yeah. And if you recall, when we talked about the faction changes last time, what I was saying is you went to -2, but not -3 at war, because there's just enough funny stuff about that job that they know you were directly involved with something that went terribly wrong, but they don't understand why you would do it. And so there's just enough hesitation that there might be some opportunity to try to repair some of that damage rather than exacerbate it, if that's the way you want to go. So you could potentially do a client, like a job with the Keel twins as a client. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me update your card here. Okay. All right. How about red or silhouette?
I kind of want to target the Imperial military.
Okay.
Because I want to, like, I know that the whole like rocket bomb thing is more connected to the Ministry of Discovery, but I want to see if they're related.
Sure. I will warn you that the Imperial military is tier 4. Or actually, excuse me, tier 6. I have to read Roman numerals correctly.
Maybe not.
Maybe not yet.
So it might be that you could still have them be the target and just have like a less ambitious scope, right? Like it still would come down to what we decide the easier, like, how to interpret what the job is. But that is just something to keep in mind when you might want to say, put a pin in the desire to find out and target them, because maybe you need to beef up your crew a little bit more before you try to take them on. But then again, I'm also not going to say no. Now, if you wanted to take on them, you can, but it's you know, it's going to be harder.
I think I'll just kind of put a pin in that for a little bit.
Okay. All right. And remember too, one of the suggestions you can make is just a kind of job. You don't have to necessarily pick a target or a client yet. We can figure out that would be, if you can just sort of imagine, like, what sort of thing would you like the job to be, or even set a goal that you don't necessarily know who the client or target would be for it, but you want to do that. For example, another thing that you can do is on your crew map, which if I pull up the crew sheet, we've got the little map of claims here where, you know, it says it's this little grid where you've got base and then all of these other little advancements. To get any of those claims is to do a job. So you could have a job be to say, we want to get this specialist fence claim on the map. And the way you get it is by doing a job to get it. So that's another kind of job that you could choose.
Kind of along the lines of what I'm thinking, actually.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of different things in my mind, but I see that informants is one of the things next to our base.
Mm-hmm.
As what are they called again?
The
Enhancements? Claims.
Yeah.
Because one of the things we're missing is a lot of information, and we need to seed ourselves to get that information. So making a move on gaining more informants.
Mm-hmm.
The other idea was to do an information gathering mission, but
well, so one of the things that is going to happen once we have selected the job and taken it, before we do the engagement roll, you can do as many gather information rolls as you like. And the only cost for those is that they take time to happen. And so if there was any urgency where you needed to have something happen right away, you might feel like you don't have enough time to do a lot of gather information rolls.
Gotcha.
But
this would
so
make
like
this would add dice to that, right?
Right, exactly. So if you had that informant's claim, that would mean when you do those gather information rolls before a score, you get an extra die to your die pool for it.
Okay. I think I'm going to make that my my target.
Okay. So
Or my type of job, I should say. Is it? Yeah, type of job.
Yes. Crew claim informants. Okay. How about you, Red? If you were wanting just a quick reference to say, like, what is the different tier of each of the possible factions, page 342 of the PDF has just a quick reference of all the different factions and what their tiers are, respectively.
Was it 352, you said?
342.
42, okay. It's not even the right PDF. I'm sorry.
The other thing is, I think the Dirt Barons are our backers.
They are your like the boss for your hunting ground. So they are who you owe a tithe to if you do jobs in Charter Hall.
Okay. But we could do a job for them to try to get more backing. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. To build up your status with them. Absolutely. In fact, when you have a ward boss faction, if you build up and really increase your connection with them, you can potentially get, there's a prestige ability for each faction. And so the dirt barons, theoretically, if you get faction help, when you use the share relevant intel with you faction help, the dirt barons add +2 to their tier for the gather information roll. And additionally, every score has an additional called shot just for your PC acquired dirt. But that's if you have them as a backing faction, as opposed to just like they like you.
Right.
Yeah. But that said, improving your status with them absolutely would be something you could seek to improve.
Yeah. I think, who was it that we think set us up?
I don't know that you had a solid
Oh,
lead
I
on
thought
that
we
yet.
had like
We know
something
who we
that
were
we were
supposed to
talking.
deliver to.
Right.
Which
So
was
there
the,
was
Who we were supposed
Blackthorn
to deliver
Park,
to.
who initially hired you. However, you've been given information to suspect that maybe someone is just using them, right? And maybe whoever wanted Blackthorn Park to hire you to do the job might have been who made that all blow up, right?
Mhm.
But in
Yeah.
any case, Blackthorn Park is who hired you and then was trying to kill you because the job went bad. Keel Twins were who was the go-between that you were supposed to get it from. It seems like they're probably not the ones that set you up.
Yeah.
Then Section 6, of course, seemed like they were involved somehow. Like their presence on scene was more aggressive than seems merited just by what happened. And then there was also the Bluecoats that were suspiciously there, ready to raid the building as soon as everything went down.
Yeah,
so
I think that out of all of those, like the one that would be the most viable target at our level right now would probably be like the Bluecoats or Blackthorn Park. So I think because like we kind of don't want to mess with Blackthorn Park just yet, maybe to find out why the Bluecoats were there. Yeah.
Okay. So target the Bluecoats. Well, so here's the question. I guess you don't have to limit it to just one detail, but so is the idea like to your mind, is the primary detail that you want to bring here that the target is the Bluecoats, or is the primary type of job that you want to find out who set you up?
Yes.
The latter?
Or yeah, I think that they are connected somehow. So
Okay.
I would like to target the Bluecoats to see if we can find out who set us up.
Right. Well, so the only reason I'm making the distinction is because, for example, if we could target the Bluecoats, that's totally fine. And then if we pick that job, we could all talk about like, this is what we're trying to do with the Bluecoats, and that's fine. But the other way that it could go is if you had just said, the primary goal that I want us to have is to try to figure out who set us up. Then we could, when we do the collaborative building, we could try to decide, are the Bluecoats actually who we think ought to be the target for that, right? And so, but it's all fine. So we can have the target be the Bluecoats. Okay, the Bluecoats are, I believe, tier 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oops. Here we go. All right, and then the Keel Twins are tier 2. So I think, let me just put that in there. 2. And then let me figure out what it says about how to do the crew claim difficulty for the rolls here. So now that we have our 4 opportunities, we're going to figure out how much each would pay. Because, you're criminals here. You're not doing stuff just for fun. You want to get paid too. People say that crime doesn't pay, but sometimes it does. If you're doing it right.
If it doesn't
Those
pay,
people
then they're
clearly
doing it wrong.
So yeah,
Exactly.
it's like skill issue. Um, okay, so let me find the where's the my planning meeting here. Okay, so roll for payouts. For every opportunity on the table, we're going to roll dice equal to our crew tier, which is 0, but then add the tier of the target to the result. If the target isn't a particular faction or if you haven't defined the target yet, the GM will supply the target's tier, and I can pick any arbitrary tier and find a faction that fits it later. So I can do that. Claim opportunities. Let's see. I think. Yeah, let me just double check what the old book says about crew advancement and the getting those claims. Let's see. Okay. So one note for that claim map is that you don't have to necessarily get one that's adjacent to what you have already. You can potentially choose another one, but it will be more difficult by virtue of how disconnected it is. Seizing a claim. Okay. Yeah, so the way that it works is just that I would say each of those claims, to seize the claim, you're essentially taking it from someone. And so I would be deciding the difficulty based on who do I think has it now, and that you would be taking it from. So that's how we do that. So I think that in this case, the informants that you want would be yeah, I'm going to say that the informants little leatherbacks. Yeah, you know what? I think that the Limmerfield gang is who they have some informants that you would be potentially targeting. So the target is going to be, I will just say tier 2 right now. It doesn't have to be the Limmerfield gang necessarily. We'll discuss that if we get there, but I'm just going to call it a tier 2. So now we're rolling. Sorry, I'm flipping between all these PDF pages. So we're rolling it to 0. So 0d6 for your tier, and then add the tier of the target. And so let's just start with the one that I have highlighted here. So your tier is.
Do we need to choose the level for Crash's opportunity? Because the client is a tier, but the target doesn't.
Oh, yes. That's a good point. I was kind of just assuming that because the client is a tier 2 that I was going to call it a... you know what? Actually, let's call that a tier 1 just so that there's a little bit more variety in the choices.
Okay.
But good call. Okay. All right. So let's just start with that one then. So we've got tier 1. The target is tier 1. You're starting with 0, so you're going to roll a 1d6 to tell you how many stacks you could get paid for. Let's see. Actually, oh no. Okay, so no, we're rolling 0d6, and then we add the tier of the target. So whatever you roll from the 0d6 roll, this was your target. So how about you roll the 0d6, Crash?
How do you roll 0d6?
It's just 2d6, but we take the lower result as.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think if you click fortune roll in
Okay.
any of these places, it can also
Yeah.
make a regular roll.
So the lower roll is just a 1, and it's a tier 1, so that means that the payout would only be 2 stacks.
Okay.
All right. So an easier job, but won't pay out as much.
Question about these opportunities. So they stay even after, like, if we choose one, the rest will stay. Do
Right.
they ever change?
Potentially, if it feels like it would make sense for them to change.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm just,
I mean,
you know,
yeah.
for
It
example,
may
if we
be
knew
that,
more,
yeah,
or we're
the
better with the
yeah.
Keel twins, then
Well,
yeah, okay.
each time we do the planning meeting, you can choose, you know, just like we did this time, everyone can choose to generate a new card, or you can pull one of the old cards.
Okay.
So you never are stuck with any of the old ones, but they can stay if you want. But also if it feels like you were going to do one for a reason and then narratively you wouldn't want to do that anymore, yeah, you can just get rid of it.
Cool.
So yeah, Mark, how about we roll for yours? So that's a target tier 2, and we're still rolling 0d6, but the result will be the 0d6 plus 2.
Okay.
Okay.
So 3.
3 plus 2 is going to be 5 stacks for that job.
Money.
One thing that's worth noting, and I'm going to leave it right now, but the book does suggest that because a claim opportunity has its own sort of reward, sometimes you won't get as many stacks for it. But I'm going to just leave it as let the result ride for this time. Okay. How about you, Ginny? This time it's a tier 3 target, so it would be once again the 0d6 fortune roll, but then we'll add 3 to whatever you get. Okay, so that's a 1 plus 3 for 4. All right, and then for mine, it's going to be okay, the lower is the 3 and the tier 2, so it'll be a 5 stack payout. Recall also, as we established previously, that your if you decide to sell the briefcase, you would be potentially selling that for stacks as well. The other thing is, now we're at the point where you and I, or I guess the 3 of you, are going to decide which opportunity you want to pursue, and we'll fill out the rest of the details for it. But because you have a cohort, you have Slade Wilson, you can choose to either have him be available to help on whichever job you take, or you can actually see if you want to assign him to do one of these secondary scores. Like, so for example, you could decide that you want to take Silhouette's opportunity, but also send Slade Wilson to do Crash's opportunity on his own. And so there are rules for how that might play out. If he is successful, you have to share the payout with him, which is only fair. But, so that's just another thing that you could choose. But if you send him on a secondary score, obviously he's not available to help with the primary one. So based on these opportunities and payouts, which do you think you want to pursue? And
I'm greedy, so I'm thinking either or the youth action movement or the crew claim.
You mean the blue? Oh.
Yeah. I have my own reasons for both of those.
I mean, it would be an interesting thing to see if we run into your estranged daughter.
I sincerely hope not. The arguing would be rather distracting. We could send Slade to help with the Keel twins. Maybe his indirectness would help us.
Yeah.
He also might just get killed, which would
Yeah,
be unfortunate.
It would
I
be,
don't
but
know. A
better
part
than
of me
one of
feels
us.
like I feel differently. I think that because of what happened with the Keel twins, that it should be us. Because if we send someone else, then we look guilty, like we were in on it somehow, and we got her sister killed.
Or we look afraid, which
Yeah,
honors them.
which definitely don't want to.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with looking afraid in the right eyes.
So the
Yeah.
value also, of course, of keeping the cards around is that it just means that if there's more than one you want to do, you can just hold on to, you just choosing which order, right?
Hmm.
All right.
All right. Well, I don't know. It seems to me like getting the informant would be a useful, helpful thing long term.
Yeah.
It's always better to know more, even when you're telling lies. Especially when you're telling lies.
Especially, yeah. All right, I'm with that then.
Okay. So we'll put these other ones aside for now, and so this is the one we're going to choose. And so now we just need to fill out kind of the details here. So the client faction is essentially you guys, right? Because it's
Mhm.
you're doing this for your crew's benefit. Um, and the target needs to be a faction of tier 2 just because that's what I decided, and I think I had the Limmerfield gang is if when we look at the factions, the Limmerfield gang was actually a crew that they don't like the Keel twins, and so you actually have a positive status with them right now, just slightly because they think you hurt the Keel twins.
Well, yeah, we were involved in the
Mm-hmm.
hurting of the Keel
We
twins.
were there when
Right.
they got hurt.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
Limmerfield gang is a tough gang with a reputation for brutality and strangeness. Um, and they are, let's see, they're, um, I was trying to, their headquarters, I'm trying to see if there's a thing that just says straight up where they hang out. But I'm not seeing it. But, but they are a tier 2 faction.
The Flensing Yard is their HQ.
Right, but it's but that's like which neighborhood is that in? Is kind of what I was.
Oh,
looking
I
for.
see.
Let's see. Okay, they are in Crowfoot. Along with the Keel twins. And so that is also the place where you have a little bit of a negative reputation with the citizens. But, I don't know. Sometimes it's, got to do what it takes.
I mean, where better to get that information than the heart of what happened?
Yeah. So so because of the nature of this process, I'm suggesting the Limmerfield gang. It doesn't have to be them. So if there was some reason you didn't want it to be them, we could imagine that there's some other place that you could get informants from. Just trying to essentially make clear that like this part of it is collaborative. It's not me deciding.
I think we're all still getting used to all the factions too. So
Sure, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But especially if you're trying to make good with the Keel twins, hurting one of their enemies is maybe one way to start making some inroads there. Okay, so I think then that we've got all of the primary details here: the client, the target, and the payout. You are seizing the claim, these informants, And so essentially what that means in the fiction, we will kind of decide. But I mean, my impression would be that it's just right now they've got some people who are running, like getting information and feeding it to the Limmerfield gang. You want to get those people to do that for you instead, right?
Yep.
So that is sort of like the type of job. So now the time comes to the next sort of big mechanical thing would be to do the engagement roll, but you don't have to decide that first, because you can first of all, you can decide to add some called shots if you want. And a called shot is an optional mechanic that lets the crew take on challenging extra objectives to increase the payout for a score. And you don't have to do that right away if that sounds more complicated. But it was basically just kind of like, if you add like an extra level of difficulty to the score, you can get more money.
Like trading position for
yeah, it's kind of the
for
idea. So
result.
like some of the examples that they give here are things like steal an unrelated item nearby, do it within a set time limit, do it without raising the alarm, that sort of thing. And so I think because this is kind of our first time going through this process, you don't feel any obligation to do that, but feel like you can. It is worth noting that your crew, you chose black bag operations, and so when you execute a clandestine infiltration, you get plus 1d to the engagement roll, and you can potentially install surveillance equipment. So that is something that you might consider your approach, right? Because if you are going with an approach that lends itself to that, then you can get those bonuses. So for example, plant a device while you're there is one of these potential called shots. Let's see. Yeah, so if you could do that, or let's just save that for now. So I'm letting you know that that's a mechanic, but we'll maybe use that in the future when everyone's a little more comfortable with the rest of it.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Right. So the other thing that you can do before we do the engagement roll is you can gather information, which just means before you try to do the job, your characters are still in free play, and you can just say, how are you going to try to get some information that will help you out in this in trying to do this job. So you just have to kind of just decide like how you might be trying to do that. But what you would be eventually trying to get to is the point where you have to choose an approach. And this is on page 188 of the PDF. There's assault, deception, stealth, paranormal, social, and speed. And for whichever one you pick, you have to say, what's the opening gambit? Meaning, like, what is the initial approach for this plan? And then we will do an engagement roll to see how it starts off. But obviously, before you decide that, you might do some gather information rolls to see, the lay of the land, get some recon, case the joint, so to speak. But remember, you can also always do flashbacks in exchange for stress during the job if there's anything you don't get up front. So, is there any gather information rolls that you would like to do for this job?
So when we say it's informants, are we talking people? Are we talking...
That was certainly the way that I'm envisioning it. The idea is just that these are people who are able to gather useful information, intel of some kind that they feed to the Limmerfield gang. And you want them to do that for you. Now, who they are specifically is something that we can all decide, right? Like we can just we can make up who this is, right?
And there are telephones in this world, right? Or
yes.
not?
Yeah.
Okay.
And radio as well.
So, although they're not a very sophisticated group. So what I'm
Mhm.
thinking is one of two things. We look for a building which has many more phone lines than they're likely to use. Or we look for people coming in and out of their HQ who seem to come in and don't necessarily match the look that they have, because their informants are going to be people placed in other places, not them.
Mm-hmm.
So we could do some
And
surveillance.
we could, and I could also, like, while we're doing that, I could potentially use my psychic amplification device to like gather psychic intel on like targets, like maybe where they're sending people, so we can check up on them.
Does that involve reading their minds?
Yeah,
Huh. Does anything block that by any chance?
I don't know.
Hmm. Good to note.
Maybe, like maybe if they're wearing like a foil hat or
Mhm.
something, but like most people don't do that.
One thing you do know is that Crowfoot neighborhood it tends to be a lot of anomalies that happen there.
I think the next time, like, we might take a break, go for a soda or something, and the next time you see Vesper, he's wearing a beanie
Hmm.
that's very tight around his head, and it may twinkle slightly.
It's
Just
So
a
got
I,
like a tin foil under it.
In foil lining, yeah.
so
yeah.
I've put us on the map here just so we can look at the Crowfoot neighborhood, and there is in fact a little Limmerfield, this little island on the west part of it. So I think we can imagine that as the primary, you know,
Where's
region where those
Crowfoot?
guys. Hmm?
It's on the
Crowfoot
west.
is yeah. So
Oh, there
it's
it is.
just across the river from Silk Shore,
Yep, I see it now.
and then Limmerfield is right there. Yeah. Ah,
So do we want to try a couple of different things? Some surveillance, some watching of people, watching of buildings, or surveying the buildings, and some psychic surveillance.
yeah. So
Yeah, that sounds good.
yeah. So the way the gather information role is when you want to know something specific about the fictional world, your character can gather information. GM will ask you how your character gathers the info, or how they learned it in the past. If it's common knowledge, the GM will just answer your questions. If there's an obstacle, then a roll is called for. And so each attempt to gather information takes time. So depending on how high you roll, there's not consequences in the same way unless we decide that the situation develops that way. But generally, gather information roll. The roll is just to determine how much information you get. Um, and so, but it may be too that some questions are too complex to answer immediately with a single roll, and you might need to do a project in the meantime, like with the briefcase. But yeah, so I think, if the idea is first you want to find out where these guys hang out or where they do their transfers or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
we can. So the question would be, how do you find that out? If the idea is you're looking for the place that has like a lot of like a suspicious number of like telephone lines or radio antennas or something like that, like more than seems appropriate for the building otherwise, then perhaps that seems like maybe a survey, um, a survey check to look for a place like that.
And these are individuals doing the gather information roles?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And recall, like they take time. So for example, if Silhouette's doing this one, then you could have the others do one like at the same time, or you can help each other with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's what Sill's going to do. He's going to spend some time kind of casing the area, looking at different buildings. He'll be wearing a mauve turtleneck for this particular operation,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody knows that mauve is invisible. And then it's just
And
a survey
very
roll. Is it what's the
Does that mean you're nude?
Because it's gather information, there's no position or effect. It's just the the higher result gets you more information.
Okay. I guess it's probably this one. No bonus dice. So it's a 4.
Yeah. So a 4 on a gather information is a standard result. You get good details, clarifying and follow-up questions are possible. So basically, I think you do find that there is a building of that type, or rather, that you find that there's kind of these are, so in Crowfoot, just so that we can have the mental picture of the sorts of things you're looking at here. Crowfoot as a neighborhood is at a crossroads, literally and metaphorically. Sitting at the heart of Duskfall, Crowfoot has traditionally combined many qualities from the neighboring districts: the illicit vices of Silkshore, the labor and trade of the docks, the poverty of Charhollow, and the classic architecture of Charter Hall. Recent years have also seen an influx of wealthier residents and businesses, bringing an increase in property values and rents. The displacement of the original population and the loss of community identity has led to many conflicts over resources and territory. So I think what you find in this neighborhood here is there's a lot of parts of Crowfoot are kind of getting gentrified, right? But you have a building that looks like kind of an eyesore with all of these wires and everything, and you sort of feel like if there was not someone with some degree of influence keeping this power, you suspect that building would have gotten redeveloped and not look like that. So the only reason it would still be like that is because there's someone with enough influence to keep it the way it is. So you find that this is it's an old brick apartment building that has, I think, a barber shop on the ground floor, but then there's apartments up above, and the apartment windows are all like boarded up.
Okay.
So you can't see in through any of the windows on the upper levels. And it is kind of a standalone. It has like really narrow alleys all around it. It doesn't directly adjoin any other buildings, but like you had observed, there are not only a bunch of antennas on the roof, but also a lot of other like telephone wires and other mysterious wires all kind of linking to it. Jenny may remember this, but I'm thinking of a scene in a section in Yakuza Like a Dragon, where there's a building like that where they use it for exactly this kind of purpose. One of the things that I think maybe occurs to you is that if this is probably a place where you've got people who are good at doing this, are gathering the information, right? Perhaps the next question for you would be like, okay, they've got like a hideout. So would the idea here be that they stay here and somehow you persuade them to just start giving you the information instead of the Limmerfield gang? Or are you going to need to relocate them? What would the goal be? But I think you have found where they operate out of.
Yeah, part of me wants to try for that scene of the gang goes in and it's just empty. It's been stripped on the inside. There's no people. There's no equipment. We took everything.
Yeah.
And then we find a better building for them.
Mm-hmm.
One that probably isn't being so overlooked.
Yeah.
So follow-up questions are possible. Would a follow-up question like what sort of guards or defenses does this building seem to have? Is that an appropriate question?
I think that it is.
Okay.
And so it's the sort of thing where I think from outside, I think what you, if we say you have cased the joint,
okay.
I think you've taken a couple of days at this point. Like you found the building and you've been watching it to try to see like who's going in and who's coming out. What you see is that there are like a half dozen people that you believe are probably working for the Limmerfield gang that come in and out, but they are frequently bringing in supplies and food and such in such a way that you suspect that there are more people in there that are not coming and going, and they're being supplied by the people delivering. So you don't see any like guards on the outside, but there is a door. It's a pretty sturdy door that when these people come, they knock, and then they seem to wait for a little bit, and they say something that you don't have what they're saying, but you suspect there's a password to be let in.
Okay.
And so you don't know who else might be on the inside. You could potentially do another roll for that, but what you know is that like it seems like the idea is just that the critical people just don't ever leave.
Okay. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Jenny, do you want to do your psychic thing?
Well, I might offer too that, and again, like I'm offering more than I maybe will in the future, just because we're kind of, still establishing this sort of thing. Like, is the goal that you're going to persuade them, knowing where you would set them up might be worth figuring out too, right? You might be more able to persuade them if you can describe to them where they would be going instead of where they are.
So, any thoughts on that? Where we might set them up?
I'm assuming we want to set them up where we are.
It's easier to protect them that way, for sure. Shorter distance to get the information.
Yep.
But setting them up somewhere else would just throw the scent off, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Probably
yeah, but
not
then
right
it
next to her.
becomes. Yeah.
You're saying?
I was gonna say, like, we don't really have the means to like rent another facility to house them in for now, so we might need to keep them like with us in our abandoned
I
theater.
mean, yeah, like if the thing is like potentially having them be part of your headquarters is certainly an option.
There's a couple of storerooms we can clear out.
Mm-hmm.
Some abandoned buildings nearby that we could just gentrify.
Claim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, we can offer them movies and popcorn.
And shag carpet. I mean,
And probably a lot
everybody loves
less,
a good shag.
probably a lot less bullying and whipping too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Movies. Every Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday night.
They do say that movies are a natural gift from God.
Do they?
Somebody said it once in
Sure.
probably one of the movies.
I mean, I don't.
Wait, are there
disagree,
multiple
but I
gods?
just-
I forget what
yeah.
this universe is like.
Well, the sun blew up, so if there were any gods, they seem like they've turned their back. So
True.
They all died in the sun explosion.
See, movies are like creating an artificial sun in your mind.
Mhm. I think there are definitely movies. There's also TV, electroplasmic
Yeah.
television.
TV's trash.
I don't know. I like it.
Yeah. Okay, so, tell me what else you feel like you would need to know before you could decide on how you're going to approach this. And the answer, of course, does not need to be a lot. Like, the nature of this game is designed to really let you sort of not necessarily have a whole elaborate plan and then flashback the details into existence midway, right? Like, that's part of the whole fun of this mechanic. So if there's anything you want to try to figure out ahead, we can do that. But if you're ready, we could just start it up.
Do the gather information rolls have to specifically relate to the score?
Not necessarily, although certainly the idea is usually that you're doing it in specific preparation for the score at this
Yeah.
phase.
And they do cost time, so not
Yes.
doing it for the score can, yeah, okay.
Right.
I don't have
So
anything in
because you
particular.
can do a gather information roll anytime. It's just usually at this phase when we have picked a job, usually you would be doing it for that.
Cool.
Can I use my psychic amplification device to sort of attune into their thoughts and find out how we can persuade them that we're the better option?
Okay.
Like
Where's
what
their
kinds of what
weakness?
they
What do
might
they
want.
desire?
Yeah, what's their
Mhm.
weakness?
Okay, yeah. I mean, absolutely. So especially now
What do
that
they
you know the
dream
building,
of?
you don't have to now that you know the building, you can be close by. Tell me how close are you? Where are you doing this? What does it look like when you do it?
There is a children's park just across the street and maybe up
Mm-hmm.
like a house or
Yeah.
so that is close enough that I can see the building and I can attune into it like that
Mm-hmm.
without drawing attention to myself. Like it kind of maybe just looks like I'm some eccentric woman
Mm-hmm.
flying a drone or something, playing with my little dials and
Okay.
antenna and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So would
Um,
that be an attune roll?
yeah, absolutely. Also, I'm just noticing. Well, never mind. Yeah. So sorry, I was distracted by something else. Yes, it would be an attune roll.
Okay. And is that like controlled or
I'm also just realizing, like, so there, the position is, it doesn't matter. Effect level, I think, does matter in the sense that, just like, for example, if you were trying to gain like critical information on a high tier organization, I might give you less depending on what you roll, right? Like that's the idea. But you're not selecting anything. You're just doing the attune roll. So I think just would be
You can choose the position as fortune if you want to just ignore that
oh
part
yeah,
too.
yeah.
oh okay.
And then there's a 0 effect, which
Mm-hmm.
is the one I chose.
Yeah. Okay. So you also got a 4, which is again, standard, good details. Sorry, my phone is buzzing. Yeah. So I think what you when you're scanning the building, you're definitely getting a sense that there's, at least for the moment, there seem to be about 5 other people in there that are just, thugs that are doing, like some of them are maybe there to help or support the informants. Some of them maybe, just security generally. Some of them may have other business, but they are people who don't seem to be involved in the information gathering part. But there are 2 individuals that you detect, this sense of, this desire for knowledge and, constantly, scanning through data and looking for everything. So when you are, you've kind of like locked in that you believe like these 2 individuals are the people that you're looking for, what specifically are you trying to find? Are you trying to find, like, who are they emotionally? What do they want? You're kind of talking about like weaknesses.
Not so much weaknesses as like right now they're already working for someone.
Mm-hmm.
What would it take to persuade them that we're the better option to come work for
Yeah.
us?
So I think what you determine is you find in their minds some fear because Skinner, who I think you know from just like what the word on the street about the Limmerfield gang is that Skinner is one of the leaders. Um, he has gotten scary recently. He found a weird knife, and he's been taking the gang down a weird path, and he is increasingly like aggro with them when getting for information. And they're worried that he is increasingly unstable. And so it sounds like right now what it would take to get them to leave is that they would like to leave, but they're scared to leave. So what you think you would need to be able to provide to them is assurances that you could protect them.
Okay. So, I mean, word on the street about Skinner has been kind of circulating, so this could potentially be common knowledge to people
I think
on our
people
level.
know Skinner is the leader. This idea that he's got a weird knife and he's now acting strange, that's news.
Okay. All right. I will relay that information.
Weird knife, huh?
Yeah.
That sounds
Fun.
Yeah. Sounds like the kind of fun that means I'll be going out a window again. Probably backwards.
Possibly.
Yeah, but you like that part though.
It doesn't suck.
I think the one other just like enigmatic detail that you kind of don't know what to make of is that Skinner says his mother's under the bridge and that they're going to go after her soon. No,
that's weird.
Take that back. Scratch that. He didn't say his mother. He said mother is under the bridge and we're going to go after her soon. And so you don't know what that means, but that's just a snippet of thought that you get as part of this overall psychic impression.
Okay.
Any other specifics? Which bridge? Whose mother?
You don't get that, although certainly just from the Limmerfield neighborhood here, the Taffeta Bridge that connects Crowfoot and Silk Shore is the most obvious nearby bridge. But
well, there's a bridge right in Limmerfield, right, to Oldwich?
Well, there's also there's the big Taffeta Bridge, but then there's also this Crow's Bridge, and then I think it's called like the Moat Bridge down here. These little ones.
Yeah.
But those are smaller, so you don't know. You also don't know what he's talking about. I'm just throwing that in as a fun little piece of.
Did you feel like this person whose mind you were pulling this from was like it was their mother? Was there a connection to them?
I think you had the impression that is an example of the weird stuff Skinner is doing.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the impression that I got.
Makes you want to.
That it was just like he's unhinged right now, and I think that if we can get them away before they visit under the bridge, it would probably be in their best interest.
So how many people do we need to move?
Sounds like 2.
Yeah.
2.
That's not so bad.
No. We just need to get in and get out.
They might have some interesting equipment to pilfer on the way.
That's always good.
I mean, if it's not nailed down, it's fair game, as they say. And if it is nailed down, I'll bring a crowbar.
In my psychic observations, was Skinner there, like in the building at the time, or no? He comes in.
You don't think he was there at that time, so you don't get a read on him. But he's around, right? He's the leader of the gang that this whole crew reports to. He does come sometimes.
Okay. If we're gonna infiltrate and approach these 2 to get them with us, maybe I should have have Lloyd like stand guard and send me a signal if Skinner shows up.
Mhm.
That seems like a really good idea.
Maybe a show of strength would help them be convinced.
All right.
If we
So
Don't forget, you
deliberately,
guys can't see Lloyd.
yeah.
Like you don't even know what Lloyd is.
I'll
She
also
says this
just
stuff
go
all the
ahead, and
time.
I want to encourage you also to not necessarily, because of this is the nature of this game, it really is designed to not, you don't have to have a fully fledged, thought out, comprehensive plan to start,
Mhm.
because we retroactively make that plan, and so
Okay.
you only need to get enough information that you feel comfortable saying you can choose which approach you want of the ones that I listed, assault, deception, stealth, paranormal, social, and speed. But you do know, at least now, that part of what you're going to need in order to have this be successful is you're going to need to at least persuade these two informants to work for you, and you're going to need to have somewhere they can work. That might just be in your base, but it will be probably a clock that you'll need to fill to say, do they have what they need to do what they do there, right? And then the persuasion is connected to that. And then, depending on how you want to accomplish those things, you may or may not have to deal with other challenges or obstacles, right? So so I'm not telling you can't do more gather information rolls, but I'm just reminding you, don't feel like you have to just keep doing them indefinitely until you know exactly what the plan is.
If we were looking at, for example, one and just set up a space for them, is that something that's sort of its own score, or is that part of the score?
It's all part of, just the idea is completing the score means now you have the informants doing their work for you. And
Okay.
so that I'm just telling you, based on, what does that mean? I'm saying, okay, well, we've identified these individuals and they need a place to do their work. And so I'm just saying, what would it mean to complete that?
So if we were to say, for example, that some of the stacks we get out of this, we would put towards setting them up a new place, is that?
You could do it that way, but that's not what I was envisioning. What I was envisioning is that the stacks are the reward for having accomplished the thing.
Okay.
But what we would say is, the goal is to establish a place. Well, what would your characters be doing? I'm not telling you to buy stuff at a store, right? I'm telling you to tell me how you arrange that.
So
And,
if we did a gather information to find a suitable location that we could take or use, would that make sense?
Potentially, yeah, but like I said, you're going to need to do rolls to get and set up whatever you need, right? That's going to be the challenge. And so how you choose to do that will be up to you. I'm just saying that I'm going to have like a 4 o'clock of, you need to tell me what you're doing to establish this place that they will be able to work.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm not telling you have to somehow amass 6 stacks worth of whatever. I'm not saying that.
Well, I guess part of it is the outcome of the gather information roll. Obviously, information is a part of it.
Yeah.
Is that it, or is that making any other rolls easier? Like, is it advantageous to do a gather to make it easier later?
Potentially, it's more along the lines of just having an idea of what you would want to try to do, right?
Okay.
So, for example, what I'm never going to do with a gather information roll is, you find the perfect place, and now it's not a problem anymore.
Right.
Right? What I might say is, you find a perfect place, except that it's got a problem that you're going to have to overcome, right?
Right.
So if the idea is you just have no idea, it feels like a blank page, you can't think what you would possibly do, then a gather information roll might be a way for me to give you some little breadcrumbs to follow or something like that. That kind of thing. But the idea is, if you just feel like, oh, we know a couple of guys that knocked off a telephone autopod the other day, and they have a lot of spare crew that we can steal from them or persuade them to give to us, or or do a favor for them, or whatever. Like, things like that. You tell me what it would be, but I want you to use your imagination to say, your characters, how would they go about doing it?
Hmm. Okay.
I mean, you've got an intellectual who does sparkcraft. You've got a paranormalist. You've got an operative. How would they arrange to set up a communications nest? And again, it's like you don't have to decide in advance every detail of it. We figure it out as we go.
Because I have in my mind a clock tower, but it's sort of like,
Yeah.
how do I frame that in the game? Am I saying I'm looking for a clock tower, or I'm
Well, so this is again like why I'm trying to like get us to the engagement roll to do the score, because and again, I'm not like blaming you. This is the nature of the system. It's a different
Mhm.
system, but I really want to say that any job you ever do is going to have obstacles to it, and you're going to have to tell me how you tackle it, and we'll decide what it is with a roll and everything. The phase that we're in of doing the gather information rolls is not for eliminating the obstacles before you do them,
right?
right? What it is just giving you ideas or establishing things narratively. You're still going to have a challenge to overcome with any job, but the nature of this game is designed for, you don't have every detail of the plan figured it out. You start off how it goes, you see what happens, and you play from there. And you can do flashbacks when you say, oh, we ran into this problem. Well, just so happens that I did this in the past to prepare us for this, right? And so
Mhm.
that's why you don't need to figure out everything in advance. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you had a specific gather information role that you wanted to do, we can do it. But if what you're doing is sitting here thinking, what other gather information roles could we do? I'm saying, if that's the question, it's time to do the engagement role. Right? Because if you're stuck thinking, what other gather information should we do? Then it's, that's not what this phase is for.
So, Mark, you want to find a clock tower, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we would like maybe
I
gather
think we could
information
just
to
say
find
there's
one, or say we found
no.
one.
So it's not. So this is what I'm talking about. You would not be doing a gather information roll to find a clock tower. I could just tell you there's a clock tower, but if I just tell you there's a clock tower, there's going to be a problem that you're going to have to overcome in order to establish that you have the clock tower, right? So this is what I'm saying is,
Okay.
you don't solve problems by gathering information. All you do is find out what problem you need to solve.
Right. So would framing that as, I want to see if I can find a suitable location in this area. You give a couple of options. We choose one. Later on, we find the complications with that. Or we might even find them now,
Yeah,
but we'll
yeah.
engage with the complications during the score.
Right. So when I say that you're going to have to find a place and set it up for them to run, you could do a gather information to say, where is the place that should be? And all that means is I have changed the obstacle from find a place to solve a different obstacle that lets you have it, right? So
Right,
you're
right.
not really gaining anything. You're just
Well, the
refining
thing
details.
I'm trying to figure out here is
Uh-huh.
because in doing that, I'm signaling to you, hey, here's a place for an obstacle
Mhm.
that I want to engage with. That's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to figure out, what the way these questions are
Yes,
doing
no, absolutely,
that
yeah.
way too.
So definitely. So like, if you want to say you're thinking what you would like it to be is a clock tower, then what that means is that I can tell you where there's a cool clock tower, and there's going to be a problem with it that you're going to have to overcome.
Yep. Okay.
It's going to be crawling with giant spiders.
Yeah. And so, for example, if you then wanted to say, what is the problem so that we can prepare for it, we can do that. But I'm just saying, like, the nature of this game is designed to allow you to not have to spend hours and hours planning every detail.
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
It's in fact very much encouraged to not do that.
I guess, it's just trying to figure out how much we should be digging in to give you and us, the plots.
I want to encourage you to not worry about that.
Okay.
Because, like I said, what will happen is I will, when we're doing the job, we're going to establish together, when you pick your approach, what is this first obstacle? And based on how that goes, I'll tell you what the next obstacle is. And then you just deal with those until you get to something, for example, where you say, oh, the way we want to deal with this is that I actually planned it in advance to deal with this. And then we do a flashback to establish that that happened, right? So instead of you trying to think of what those things are in advance, we do it with the flashback instead, which is why you don't need to over-prepare first.
So we infiltrate the building.
Yeah. So
and as we're like, hey, come work for us,
Mhm.
then they're like, well, do you even have a place for us? And we'd be like, doodly doo, doodly doo.
well,
Like, we have this clock
exactly
tower.
one way that it
Yeah.
could go. But for
Yep.
example, see, this is exactly why, in a lot of role-playing games, we run into the situation where you spend an hour and a half making a complicated plan, and then it falls apart immediately because you're having to rely on dice rolls, right?
Right.
That wastes everybody's time. So the idea here is you let the dice rolls make everything fall apart without having spent the hour and a half. And then everybody's improvising on the go, and that's the part that's fun anyway. You just didn't have to waste the hour and a half first.
Embrace the chaos.
Yes, exactly. So I'm going to suggest that at this point, I think we have enough details that we can kind of envision a basic shape of what's going on, which is you're going to need to get past these guys being guarded. You're going to need to be able to persuade them that they could be safe working for you. You need to have a place that you could get them to, all while either not being detected or with dealing with whatever response from the Limmerfield gang might arise based on what happens. All right? So the question would be now, approach. In fact, it says here, when the PCs feel ready, or even better, before they feel ready, they choose an approach for the score. And the list is assault, deception, stealth, paranormal, social, or speed. And based on which one of those you choose, there's an opening gambit that we need to establish the detail for, and then we do the engagement roll.
I'm thinking stealth.
You would want to try to sneak in and then get them out without even anyone knowing you're there.
That's my thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, if everyone is agreed that stealth would be the idea, the opening gambit would be the entry point. Like, how do you get in?
I'm gonna look for like a locked door that or a window or a loading dock, something like that, where I can use my Sparkcraft to um, take a one-way door and make it a two-way door temporarily.
All right. So right now, what you know is that there's the one guarded door that has some kind of a password, and then there are a lot of boarded up windows, and then there's the barber shop, and you don't know if there might be a back room that has some other connection there, but you never saw anyone go that way. But we don't have to decide what the way in is, because when we do the engagement roll, we're going to find out, does that go perfectly according to plan, or does it blow up in your face immediately, right? That's why we don't need to choose that ahead of time. But if that's the idea, is that you're going to but because what we know is we've got the boarded up windows and we've got the one door with the password, and then there's maybe a way through the barber shop.
Right.
Which of those is the one you're doing? Because what you don't get to do is to just say, I'm going to look for another door that's not already there when we looked at the building. You see what I mean?
I'm gonna look at the windows.
Okay. All right.
The boarded up windows.
You're going to find a way to go in through the windows using your
Sparkcraft.
Sparkcraft. Great. So now you all need to choose your loadout. Are you going quiet or are you going loud? And obviously, depending if you go quiet, it means you would have 3 boxes of load available. If you go loud, you have 6 boxes of load. And the big difference here is just if you go loud, that means anyone who sees you knows you're there for trouble. Whereas if you go quiet, maybe you can try to make an excuse that it's something other than that, right? It's like, so the idea is, are you going in with, you know, a pistol hidden beneath your jacket and some fancy pockets, or have you got like bandoliers on and obvious body armor and stuff like that? See what I mean?
Yeah.
But
So let me ask my fellow criminals here. I'm at -2 load for the next score. So I feel like I have to go loud, otherwise I can't get my gadgets or anything good.
So is that a choice for all of us or for each?
no, each
No,
of
I'm
you
at
make your own
-1.
individual choice.
Oh, okay.
I'm at -1.
Remind us why that was. I know something
So
happened. It was due
-1
to the
load,
harm.
next score due to harm.
Okay. Oh, because that was a complication from when you were doing the heal of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So yes, each of you individually decides if your character is going quiet or going loud.
So do we want to go quiet or loud? Because it's only -1. I thought it was -2.
I'm I don't have words anymore. I'm generally pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, quiet is my thing.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
And
most of my equipment doesn't even count towards my load anyway.
okay, so the we're trying to do this stealth. Once we're in the building, we obviously don't belong there. So
Well, if you get the
going
door open,
going quiet inside the building means we have a chance of talking our way out of something, right, Christiana?
I mean, potentially. Like, it'll all
Right.
depend on the individual circumstances. The point is just if you show up with a bunch of guns, obvious. Like,
Yeah.
if you're carrying a shotgun and you have a bandolier of grenades on your chest, like, people are going to know you're there to kill people and fight, and probably they're going to react accordingly, as opposed to, hey, who are you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to go loud if you guys are okay with that.
I mean, it'll just probably mean you fall out a window again.
Yeah, well, I might also survive.
Well, of course
There's
you.
also the option for you to go loud and for us to go quiet and not be with you when it happens so that you become a distraction.
Yep.
One other element that I'll remind you of that we haven't discussed is because you didn't decide to send Slade on the secondary mission, you do have your Slade Fisher. I think I've been saying Slade Wilson, because that's the actual dead. What's his face?
Oh,
Wade
yeah.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Slade. Well, it's a it's a whole other thing, but because there's Deathstrike. Nah, there's too many characters. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Slade Fisher is your character, but he is expert infiltrator, right? That is like what he does. So you could potentially have his help as well.
Okay.
And so just reminding you that you have that. So what I was going to say is, for the engagement roll, all of you decide if you're loud or quiet. It's fine. You can just choose it. And but then for engagement roll, it's a fortune roll, and we start with 1 die for sheer luck. Then we say, is this operation particularly bold or daring? I don't know that I think it's particularly bold or daring. It seems like you're trying to like sneak in and out. I think maybe try the idea to like get in and out without even being like anyone being aware of it at all. Maybe, sure. I don't know. What do you think? You guys want to call this particularly bold or daring?
Is that a called shot to do it that way?
Sure, we could say so. If you want to try to, I mean, it all it does is failing a called shot subtracts the same amount of money. So if you say you want to do it without raising the alarm. Maybe that gets you 3 more stacks if you do it, but it means you get 3 fewer stacks if you don't do it.
Right.
But I was going to say, so I am wavering on whether it's particularly bold or daring. If one of you wants to pitch me on why it is, then we can do that. Otherwise, you don't get the die. No? All right. Is it overly complex or contingent on many factors? Maybe, but I won't subtract 1 for that either. Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? I would say no, not really. You're going to just try to get in through some boarded windows. It's not like a vulnerability. But is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? I don't think they have that either. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation? I think Slade, being an expert infiltrator, can. So you're going to get an extra +1D. Are there any enemies or rivals interfering? I think no. Are there any other elements that we would want to consider? I think because it's a higher tier target than you, I'm going to say that's a -1D. So what that means is it would be start with 1, +1, -1, we get back to 1. Does that sound right?
Okay.
That sounds right.
Okay. So the idea then is going to, where you do the 1d6, and the idea is if you get a 1 through 3, that's a bad result. You're going to be in a desperate position when the action starts. If you get a 4 to 5, you're a mixed result. You're in a risky position when the action starts. 6, good result. You start in a controlled position when the action starts.
All right.
So who would like to make this engagement roll?
I think Paul needs to do it.
All right. So.
Okay, well, that's a 1. So what that means, bad result, you're in a desperate position when the action starts. So here's what I think this means. Tell me where you are, like what gadget are you using that's supposed to get you in through a boarded up window that's not on the ground floor? And also, where are your colleagues?
I would be, you said not on the ground floor.
The windows are not on the ground floor.
Okay, so I would be scaling the side of the building.
Okay.
And using a device that goes under the board and then uses like hydraulic pressure to push the board up and hold it at the same time so it doesn't fall.
Mm-hmm.
And it does it a little bit at a time to keep the noise down.
Right. So I will certainly buy that you could make a device to do that. But I think what's tricky here is you've already established that you're going. Are you doing this at night or during the day or what?
For stealth, I would think we would do it at night.
Yeah. So I think the problem is you're scaling the building in a going loud getup, right? I think that's a prowl roll to do that part, which I think you have 0 to 6.
I have 0.
So I think because of the 1 on the engagement roll, that means that your very first roll here is going to be a prowl roll, desperate position for standard effect. And I believe, and I suspect that we can find out where Silhouette and Pyretta, or Silhouette and Red are, shortly. I think we're just opening this job here, seeing Crash attempt to scale the building.
Crash doing something inadvisable.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, yes, I think that what manages to happen here is that the consequence of this failure. So this is a failure on a desperate um, a desperate roll, right? So
Yeah, let's make sure that the audience knows I rolled a 1.
yes, yeah. So the 0d6 is 1 and 3, but you, of course, you take the lower, and so in a desperate, it's the worst outcome. You suffer serious harm, a serious complication occurs. You lose this opportunity for action. I think what happens is you have climbed up the outside of the building just high enough to get your device to where you're prying open the boards, and it's really obvious that what you're doing is trying to sneak in the window, and you are dressed with all sorts of gear, like someone who is infiltrating the building for nefarious purposes, and all of a sudden there's a flashlight beam on you, and
From
someone
inside
says,
or outside?
You're outside.
Oh, okay. But I
Yeah.
mean, like I was prying open the window.
Yeah. So
Was I doing
basically,
it
you
right in
have
front
been
of
caught
someone?
climbing up the building and trying to pry open the window.
Ah, okay.
And so from outside, someone has spotted you climbing up the building and are shining a bright flashlight on you, and they say light him up, and they're gonna try to shoot you. And so this is
All right.
a level 3 harm coming your way, which you can attempt to resist.
I am going to attempt to resist and have some body armor while I
Yes.
do.
Okay. So you can, first of all, if you have the body armor, then it automatically is going to reduce it to a level 2 harm. Let's see. Body armor. Oh, come on. I am trying to find there we go, armor. Yeah, so there's just a rule for if you take level 3 physical harm after the effect, then it would total the armor, but you can try to resist it. So
Okay.
basically, if you're wearing the armor, all physical harm is reduced by 1 level. Oh, so I think that means that if the armor would reduce it to a level 2, then that would not total the armor. But you can also still resist by potentially spending stress to reduce it even further.
I'm going to do that too.
Okay. So you have the armor. So certainly mark your 3 load slots to reflect that. And then the resistance, I was trying to just double check that how we had established it before. Yeah, so prowess, I believe, is the resistance from physical strain or injury. So you need to do a prowess resistance roll to potentially reduce this down to, for one, it's worth noting, you have 2 level 1 harms still. So that means that even if you reduce it to a level 1, it would have to be a level 2. So there's actually almost no point in doing the resistance roll, because the armor already reduces it from 3 to 2.
Okay.
So what I think is you've got a nasty bruise because you're feeling the shots through your armor.
Okay.
And so I think that is what has happened. So I think Silhouette and Red, this has immediately gone wrong. You know, just the very first thing was Crash was supposed to infiltrate and get in through the window, and now he's getting shot at. He's getting shot, more to the point. What are the two of you doing? Like, where are you, and what is your move here?
I was going to scope out the barbershop while he was doing that, just in case there was some kind of incident,
I think
or
it's
he couldn't
closed
get in
now because you're going at night, but you could certainly, tell, so you hear the shots fired.
I will head back in that direction.
Okay.
To see what's happening.
Yeah.
And can I see from the ground the people who are shooting?
Yeah, you see that there's a guy holding the flashlight on him. He also has a gun in his other hand, but then the other one has is shooting a pistol up at Crash.
Okay. I will from a position of stealth, if possible, like maybe from
Mm-hmm.
behind a bush. I will fire my silenced uh
Silenced shooter.
silenced shooter
All right.
at the shooter
Mm-hmm.
to
Um,
try to
all right. I'm gonna say if you want to try to sneak up on them in order to um, to make this an easy ambush shot. That sounds like a
Mhm.
prowl roll to me, but you can tell me again, like you tell me which skills you're wanting to use.
I mean, a prowl probably seems best because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
although that's like close violence. I don't know. I kind of want to do finesse because I'm like trying to stay hidden with it and like sort of throw them off a little by firing a weapon
Mm-hmm.
to like at least get rid of one of them.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm saying that if you want to use prowl to say you sneak up and shoot the guy, then yeah. What I'm doing is I'm establishing that there is a 6 count clock for the Limmerfield goons.
Okay.
And so obviously, depending on the result of your roll, then I think they don't know where you are, so it's you are controlled to start. I think you have a
Okay.
silenced shooter. I think that you have the potential for great effect here. So that's a pretty good option for you, controlled and great effect.
Okay. I'm going to. I don't have anything in prowl, so I'm going to push myself.
Okay. Would you like a devil's bargain?
Oh, that's so scary. Um, I kind of would.
Yeah. I think that um, if you take the devil's bargain, you get another d6 here. But part of what happens is that Crowfoot is a neighborhood that has a tendency towards having more paranormal anomalies occur in this area. And I think that if you take a devil's bargain, a new anomaly of time or space to the scene will start causing complications here. I think what happens is that the gravity in and around this building is going to suddenly start being at like half gravity.
Nice. That's
And that will
so
happen
scary.
regardless of what the result of your roll is. You don't have to have that happen, but if you want the extra die, then it will.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
So that's in place of like doing stress, right? You can't do
Um,
both.
you can do
You
both.
can do both.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can
can you?
spend the 2 stress to get 1 extra die, and you can take the devil's bargain to get a second extra die.
All right, I'm gonna go for it.
Okay. Okay, so a 3 and a 4. This was I said you were controlled, and it's a 4 or 5 is you hesitate, which allows you to withdraw and try a different approach with no consequence at all, or else you can do it with a minor consequence, a minor complication. You have reduced effect, you suffer lesser harm, end up in a risky position. And it could just mean that lesser harm just means that, for example, you get a standard effect result instead of a great effect result. So
I
like
will
you
go
get,
with that.
okay, so it means that you get 2 ticks on the clock instead of 3.
Okay.
Um, so you're seeing this Limmerfield Goons
Mm-hmm.
clock,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think what happens then is that you are sneaking up, but you feel just as you're getting ready to, try to put. Well, so here's another question: are you killing this guy? Or are you just trying to put him down? Get him to
I'm
stop?
just trying to maybe knock him down. Like
Okay.
I'll shoot him in the shoulder.
Okay. So the plus side is, no one dies. The death klaxon doesn't go, but also he's going to probably yell, right? So.
Well, yeah, but it's a silent shot, so
Well, it is,
it's
but
gonna
you're going to
really
have a
throw
guy
him
who's been
off.
shoulder shot lying on the ground.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's also shooting right now.
Yeah.
I mean, unless his weapon is
I know. I'm just
Okay.
saying that if he's not dead, then he is not dead
Oh, yeah.
and therefore still able to act. But yes, you can absolutely do that. So, but you feel just as you're getting ready to pull the strange sort of fluctuations that you are particularly in tune with, and recognize, oh gosh, this there's an anomaly happening, and you find that all of a sudden the shell casing ejecting out of your gun after you fire is falling too slow, and as the guy grabs his shoulder and starts to collapse, he's also falling slow, and it's almost like slow motion, except you realize that it's normal outside this narrow bubble, but everything surrounding this building seems to be operating at a half gravitational, 1/2 G right now.
Nice.
So how about you, Silhouette? Where are you, and what are you doing?
I think Silhouette was around the corner,
Mhm.
kind of making sure when no one walks down the alleyway. He wasn't looking the other way, obviously. Sitting there looking casual in his dark maroon turtleneck, with smoking a cigarette, essentially, trying to look super casual and not entirely out of place. When he hears the shots go off, he'll look around. He'll see that people are basically spotlighting Crash, and then start running towards them in order to try to knock the guy with the flashlight down, or at least knock the flashlight away. He takes a couple of steps. Of course, the steps get larger and larger than he expects.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to try that and do it without being picked up. So he's going to try to hit them from the blind side.
Okay.
I want to point out one thing, Paul. You get an experience point because you had a desperate roll.
Oh, thank you.
So
Yeah,
make sure to
definitely.
note that.
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
new to this, so
Yeah, and remember to take a look at your keys, and you can get experience by role playing. Your
I'm
keys.
trying to be enigmatic.
Yeah,
no one knows
absolutely.
why he
Yep.
does the things he does.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I do.
So this sounds to me like which skill are you envisioning here?
I'm thinking prowl because he's trying
Okay.
to
Yeah.
sneak up on them, even though he's
Right.
kind of bounding forward now, which
Right.
is weird.
I think that you would have been controlled because they don't know you're there. Crash is being a pretty effective diversion right now to get their attention. But I think that it is risky instead because you are suddenly unexpectedly moving at 1/2 G, and you're not accustomed to that.
Yeah.
And so I think you're at risky standard.
Okay. I got 2 dice, which is pretty good. Is there a devil's bargain on the table?
Gosh, well, I think if you're interested, then absolutely. I think that I think that what I would do is say the devil's bargain is that I'm going to start a new clock. This 6 clock is for the goons that are already on site. I'm going to start a new clock to have reinforcements show up when the clock fills. So I might fill the clock in moments as a way, like, as a consequence of failing or when time passes. But it will just mean that it will be a way that I can build tension towards possible reinforcements showing up if you don't get through all of your issues quickly.
Okay, I'll take that.
Okay.
So I'm also going to trade position for effect. So it's a desperate, what is it? The desperate great.
Yes. All right. Goon reinforcements.
And so that's 2 bonus dice.
And
I'm
then
not going to
that's gonna
push
start
myself
at,
because I already got 3 stress.
all right. So, uh, going ahead to do a roll to, you know, a desperate but great
Yeah, it's kind of like
effect.
one of those sprint, and then suddenly each leap is getting a little larger, so he's kind of
So
trying
I
to work
think,
with
yeah,
it.
Look at that. You did get a 6 though, so that means that you get your great effect.
Nice.
Yeah. So you do it, and so I think that means that you're going to get another 3. Um, uh, Another 3 ticks on this initial Limmerfield Goons clock. So what does it look like when you, in a very ungainly way, you feel like it's a razor's edge between you ending up just pratfalling right in front of this guy versus what you actually managed to do, which is what?
So I think he takes that one step, which is normal. The second step gets larger. He starts to stumble a little bit. He looks down, shrugs, pushes off about 3 steps earlier than he meant to originally,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of ends up shoulder bowling into the guy's head, knocking him to the ground, flashlight down, and that guy hopefully is out. I'm not sure how we measure that, but that's the intent.
Yeah, I think that guy is out of commission for sure, just because of, you know, your great effect. And I think that the other guy is, screaming in pain and making a lot of noise, but otherwise unable to continue fighting. However, you suspect that all of this gunfire and yelling probably will attract the attention of anyone else who is already in there.
Yeah.
As far as like who would be able to be the security in that way. So, Crash, obviously this didn't start off exceptionally well for you. However, I think you are about to pry open the window, but you also know that with all of this noise, it's possible that someone's just going to come out the door down there. So are you still going in through the window? What's the plan?
I think I'm going to come down and be ready to go in through the door.
Okay, so you're going to rely on the idea that someone's going to come out to see.
Yeah.
Okay, so how are you preparing to I guess presumably ambush? Are you going to try to ambush whoever
I'm going
comes
to
out?
try and ambush. I'm going to look for uh, like a dumpster or something to hide behind, and pull out my silent shooter and try and pop guys like in the knee or in the shin or something like that,
Okay.
or in the shoulder as they come through the door.
All right. Bearing in mind that when you guys are trying for these non-lethal shots, what that means is that failures give me the opportunity to say, for example, "Oh yeah, you got him. He's dead now," and the klaxons start, right? Like that's a possible. But it's also a reminder too that those consequences can be resisted potentially, right? So,
Okay.
So the idea though is that you're setting yourself up for that. I think. What do Silhouette and Red do? Are you just going to also hide for the same idea here?
No, I want to see how far this low gravity field goes. So I'm going to run to try to jump up and climb up the building.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me what trait you're looking for that.
Oh God. I
Yeah. I mean, I think sort of
it is
prowl might
I
work.
guess, actually, because it's like
Yeah.
climb, run, jump.
Yeah.
This time I will push myself.
Okay.
An extra
Yeah,
die.
and I think that this is it's risky just because this is like a complicated, fluid situation at the moment. And you're not used to it, but yeah, risky, and I think you're trying to just get up to that same window.
Yeah.
Okay.
to try to go in the original way.
All right. Yeah.
Because if people are coming out the door where
Sure.
he's ready, then that means there's less people inside.
Yeah.
So risky standard?
Yeah.
Or, okay. With 1 bonus die. 2, 4, and 3.
Yeah, so with a 4 on risky, you do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer. And I think what I'll go ahead and do is I will use that consequence to say you do it and you're able to wedge yourself in through the partially wedged open window, but I am going to tick the reinforcements clock.
Okay.
Okay. And unless you want to try to resist that.
Oh, yeah. Resistance is still new to this one.
Yeah. So for resistance, because this isn't resisting like an injury, there's the insight, which is resist consequences from deception or understanding. Resolve is for mental strain or willpower. And I think the idea is that you would just be trying to do it more quickly. So I think that if you want to tell me that you think that it makes more sense from this deception or understanding, in the sense that you think that your ability to your insight would have allowed you to do this more effectively, and therefore not have it take so long that the reinforcements are improving.
Yeah.
I could see that.
I could
Certainly
see that.
That's your best resistance roll.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so resistance, it is no bonus dice, and there it is.
Okay. And so that means that you suffer 6 stress minus the highest die result, which is a 5. So that's only 1 stress, and it means that I untick that consequence.
Cool.
Great. So Silhouette has slipped inside the window there. What about you, Red? What are you doing? Are you hiding to help ambush with Crash?
Yes.
Okay. I think that you don't have to wait long. The door comes flying open, and another guy comes out just going, "What's going on?" And he sees the other two on the ground, and so I think maybe this is a case where one of you is going to make the roll and one of you is helping.
Okay. You make the roll and I'll help.
Okay. What are we doing? Are we gonna knock him out, or
this? I could see this. Certainly Prowl works because you were once again trying to be sneaky, hide, and come in from ambush, but also hunt maybe kind of works. But I don't know if you have that, or skirmish if you're trying to do if you were going to shoot him, then that that makes less sense. But maybe finesse. You guys tell me which one you want to use.
I'm gonna use finesse and try to knock him out, sort of.
Okay.
From a position of that he can't see.
Right.
So yeah, I'm gonna do that.
All right. I think that's going to be a risky limited, because he is, ready for trouble. But that said, you only need one more tick to complete that clock.
Okay. I am gonna push myself again.
Okay.
And pray.
All right.
Oh,
look at
I
that.
got 6.
A 6.
Nice.
So yes, I think that you describe how you just pick off, and this guy comes running out, ready to help his buddies. And
I hit him on a pressure point,
just
perfectly. Just
Vulcan neck pitch on this guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Down he
channeling the
goes.
Vulcans for this.
Great. So now, Crash, I think, with that smooth move from Red, you're able to just sort of step forward and put your foot in the door before it swings closed again. And so the two of you can now enter on the ground floor, but Silhouette's up on the second floor, going in the window. And in here, Silhouette, you see that there is like there's obvious like a command center. Like there's this big open, like almost like a warehouse open space. Like there's, maybe it was offices once upon a time, but everything's been cleared out. It's empty, except that in the center there's a whole lot of obvious equipment, and there's a glow of the electroplasmic screens in there, and you can see all of these wires are all leading to that like central area. But right there by the window, you see like there's a card table where there's some Chinese takeout boxes sitting on the table there, some chairs and some newspapers, and there's garbage in the corners and stuff like that. But it's very obvious that there's that central command center area.
But no people that I can see.
Well, I mean, you would have to go into that command center area. Like I said, it's sort of like around in a little circle. So there's like, you would have to, like, there's an inside of it.
Okay. Well, I envision him rolling in through the window, trying to stand up, look straight, brush off his dark maroon turtleneck, and then walk as if he owns the place, just right confidently into the center, and see if he can find. First of all, kind of looking at the machine, but also seeing if he could spot any people.
So yeah, are you trying to be stealthy here, or are you just gonna wandering on?
No, he's going to walk right in. He's not going to be stealthy at all. In fact, he'll even call out, "Hello, I have a job offer for you."
Nice.
I'm very bad at this, but that's okay.
Well, we'll see, huh? And I'm creating these set up in
Set up the bomb.
It's annoying that every time I do a new one of these, I have to manually go in and say, yes, I want you all to be able to see the nameplate. Anyway, so yeah, I think that this sounds to me like a sway, if you're just trying to go in there and be charming.
Yep.
So I think it's risky because you don't know if they might be armed, what their reaction is likely to be. But I think that they are potentially amenable to this sort of thing. So let's call this risky standard.
Okay. Would you say I'm being witty with the job offer opening?
Yeah, I think so. Sure.
Just to tick off that that key.
Remember, you can get 1 XP 4 keys in a session. So it's not 1 per key; it's just 1 in a session.
You can tick off 1 key. Is he tick off 1 key or get XP for ticking off a key?
You only get 1 XP per session from keys.
Right, but you can tick off more than 1 key per session.
You
just don't get XP beyond the first one.
No,
okay.
You're encouraged to roleplay them all the time, but you only can get the XP and the ticking it off. Once per session. I
am going to try to push myself.
Okay, great.
To get a die. Is there a devil's bargain on the table?
Let's see. You're already at half gravity. You've already got goon reinforcements potentially on the way. I think that the devil's bargain. The devil's bargain is going to be that these informants. I'm trying to think of a good one that fits. I think that these informants are going to be weirdly obsessed with you.
Oh, I will definitely take that one.
Okay.
Okay.
So, risky.
Which would be even better if we do fail in the mission, because it'd be like I have these other informants are just digging into my business. Okay, so I'll take that. I will also do a position for effect. So it was a risky, now it's a desperate.
Boy, yeah, okay.
and it's a great.
Yeah,
No, it was
desperate
a
great.
standard and goes
It was
to
risky
great.
standard, so desperate great. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because I'm starting to realize this game is all about pushing every limit you can,
Yeah,
pressing
yeah.
all the buttons.
It just means the consequences are higher if you fail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This might be the last mission. Who knows? That's 2 bonus dice
hmm
and 2s.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I think that that's bad, by the way.
That's real bad. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um so I think that what happens here is that as you kind of come around the corner to where you can see them, I think the first thing that actually catches your eye is that on a bunch of the screens that you see yourself approaching at various angles, and it's clear that they had you on multiple cameras and were watching your every move as you came in. So they knew
Okay.
exactly what you looked like, where you were, and so on. And so what happens is that um, they are zapping you with like a taser as you come around the corner. And
All
so I
right.
think that is a level 3 electrocuted.
Well, I might be out. I'm going to try to resist.
Okay.
That is a
Um,
major or critical.
so
Let's
so
level 3.
this would be a so once again, this is a prowess resistance.
Okay.
For level 3 doesn't take you out.
No, but I only have one stress
unless,
left.
But if you only have one stress, then you might have to just take the hit, unless you want to, you could give it a shot and see, but
Yeah.
it might take you out of the scene. But remember
It's
too,
level
though, that
3.
if you fill your stress and get taken out for that reason, then you have to deadlock one of your keys.
Right. You know what? I'll take the critical. Why not?
Okay. So, yeah, I think you are like electrocuted. And so this is not like the normal taser where like it really sucks, but then you're okay in a couple of hours. This is like you're really, they've got some jury rigged thing that they zap you with here, and you're just really.
Can we at least talk salary?
Yeah. So, yeah, I think what you do see as you come around is that you've got, like there's a man and a woman. They both look like they're maybe 20 something. They look like they're maybe brother and sister. They're both sort of very like skinny, gangly, and pale. They both have the same haircut. Kind of like a weird sort of like halfway between a bowl cut and a pixie. It's really bad. It's not good. And they're wearing jumpsuits, but they look like related. And they also have the sort of expression that suggests that they haven't been outside in a long time and they watch TVs 24/7. And they've just electrocuted you. So I think that as you are coming up the stairs, Crash and Red, you hear Silhouette saying, "So I've got a job opening for." So what are you doing?
I am going to hurry toward that sound and pull out my silent shooter.
Okay.
From the
I'm
ground,
gonna
slightly
just-
smoking. Can I say that? Can I say that? As Sil says, I've started negotiations, but they're rather tough.
Yeah. So I think that all right, you're coming on the run, Crash.
No, I mean I'm not running, but
Okay.
I'm moving
Sauntering.
toward the area,
Okay.
and I'm wary.
All right. So I think if you are approaching stealthily, we can deal with that too. What about you, Red?
I'm going to very calmly and suavely just walk onto the scene.
Okay.
Like I have every business in the world being here.
Mm-hmm.
I've come to offer them a job,
Okay.
and I'm not even like I don't even notice that he's like on the ground smoking. Like I know he's there, but I act
Okay.
like it doesn't
Great.
bother me.
So, I don't need you to make a roll then, Crash. If you're kind of just hanging back to try to stay out of sight. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna have you make a make. Mm, I think so. Here's what I'll say is that
Yeah.
if you see that there are various cameras set up in this building, if you want to try to stay out of the view of those cameras, I'm going to need a roll. If you're just sort of hanging back to not charge in, but you don't mind that you're on the cameras, you can do that without a roll.
Um, can I try to use my um Sparkcraft to manipulate the cameras? So,
Absolutely, or at least we can have you roll to see how that goes.
okay.
Yeah, that seems like it would probably be a wrench for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Risky standard.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, I'm going to even call this risky. Yeah, risky standard. Let's say risky standard.
Okay.
Look at that. That's a 6. I
Those
think.
cameras don't see me anymore, do they?
Yeah. No, in fact, yeah, and what I'm actually going to do, in addition to the fact that you managed to avoid being seen on any of them, but I'm actually going to put a tick into persuade the informants because they recognize that someone knows the tech.
All right.
They're impressed. So I think that just before you walk in, Red, and you laying there on the ground, Silhouette. I don't know how coherent you are. I think you're struggling to kind of stay conscious.
Trying to smoke the cigarette and it keeps shaking.
Yeah.
Mostly burned away now.
Uh-huh. Your hair is kind of sticking up.
Yeah.
I think that you hear as you're approaching Red, them saying is like, "Quick, tie his hands." But then you also hear the other one say, "Wait, some of the screens have shifted. There's someone else here." But then now you can just saunter on in. Are you doing your own sway here?
Oh yeah. I'm like so charismatic right
Mm-hmm.
now. Like I'm just like exuding
Yeah.
personality and I
Charm.
feel like yeah, charm.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And like as I watch them kind of scrambling, I'm just like, I'm here to offer you a job
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
along with my companions.
So I think that this is it is still risky. They're sort of on edge, but risky standard. I think.
Okay, and I am going to push myself. And is there a devil's bargain available?
I think that if the I think that if the devil's bargain is just that I'm going to put 2 clicks on the reinforcements clock, no matter how your roll goes.
Okay.
You want to take
All
that?
right. Yeah, I'll take it.
All right.
Oh my god.
Wow.
333.
Yeah. So I think that is going to yeah, it goes badly. I think you can. I think that the consequence here is that they are about to shoot you with their electrical device too. You are now in a desperate position. You can make another move before something else happens, but like they are in the process of getting ready to zap you in a way that you see that Silhouette has not enjoyed. And so you are in a desperate situation. They're about to zap you.
Man. Trying to think of how I could use my loyal resonance entity.
Oh, well,
Like if I could,
yeah.
I will just be like all random and kind of crazy, be like, Lloyd, protect me.
Okay. So he's not necessarily an expert at protection, but
No.
he could just do like. So I guess what is the goal here? What are you intending?
I want him to like stand in front of me, like
want him
so
to
that
just
if they
take the
zap,
hit for
they
you?
zap him. Yeah, like take the hit for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Ruthless.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
God. Poor Lloyd. He was
I will
just
bring him back from the dead.
Yeah, okay. Well, he is loyal.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, so I think that this is a level 3 harm for him though. So he's going to be broken.
Broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to be broken, and you have ordered him to. However, what happens then is that they do attempt to zap you, only to have the electricity zap something else instead, and you're fine. But they hear like, I'm suddenly thinking of the Three Amigos. It's like, you shot the invisible swordsman. Whoomp in the dust, but it's nothing. Anyway, yeah, so you hear in your head, Red, Lloyd groaning, but these two siblings are stunned and confused by what has just happened. Crash, you potentially would have an opportunity to act here. Otherwise, Silhouette. I mean, Silhouette. You are electrocuted. It means I'm going to take that into account for anything you might try to do, but you certainly can still act. You're not taken out of the scene.
Yeah. Paul, did you have something you want to do, or?
Yeah, I need 1 second. Okay. That worked. Okay. Yeah, I want to, let's see. I want to use my Sparkcraft to interfere with their electrocution device.
Okay. Yeah. Um, this absolutely can work. We'll do the roll, but just describe to me, just like in the fiction, what sort of thing are you doing to do that? Like, what does it look like?
Well, obviously it uses the building power, so I am going to quickly throw together a circuit that will short out the building power if they try and use too much of it.
Oh, okay, cool. I love that, actually. Yeah. Are you interested in a devil's bargain on this?
Oh, heck yeah.
If you do it, basically, if the devil's bargain is that the power is going to completely go out in the building either way.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. So I'm just, but like all the power in the building will be out.
Yep.
Great. So let's, so that you have that devil's bargain. Otherwise it's going to be a wrench roll.
Yep.
This is, I think, risky stand. Actually, this is controlled because they don't know about you yet, because you managed to make the cameras not work. Because they might have assumed that Red did that, right? So they don't know about you. So I'll say it's controlled standard.
Okay, and I get 1 bonus die, right?
Yeah.
And if I push myself, I get stress, right?
Yes, you have to spend 2 stress in order to get 1 more bonus die.
Okay, I'm going to do that.
Okay.
I
There you
got a
go.
Okay, look at
6.
that. That's a 6. So on a controlled with a 6, you do it. And so I think that the uh, the you rig up your circuit, and then as these informants get ready to try to fire again at red, it shorts, and all of a sudden everyone is plunged into darkness, and the only remaining light at all is just what little light comes from like the street lights outside through the boarded up windows. So there's only just this is very film noir where it's pitch black except for just a couple of little streaks of light here and there, obviously
Mm-hmm.
like dramatically framing faces and so on, right? um, but I think that the two of them shriek in terror and are just like they drop everything they're holding, and now they're just like holding each other, like terrified.
I'm gonna drop to the ground like right before that happens
Yeah.
and be like, Lloyd! And just
Yeah.
like scoop him up into my arms so it just looks like I'm holding nothing.
Okay.
She's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, yeah. So I think that for the moment, yes, these two feel like they have been completely defeated. They don't know what's happening. They're scared. It seems like they maybe didn't really hear either of those job proposals properly.
Um, Allow me to defuse the situation, please. We
Sure.
are not here to harm you. We are here to have you work for us. You do want to work for us, don't you? I'm using my command.
Oh, okay. So this is yeah, okay. Great. Um so command instead of sway. Yeah. So I think you're basically saying, "Okay, you know, enough
You
of this
work for
now.
us
You're
now.
working for us now." Yeah, great. I think that this is I think you know what? I'll even say it's controlled because they seem like they're not like persuaded yet, but they do seem like cowed. If you
Okay.
follow me. So I'm going to actually call this controlled great.
Okay. Um, and I'm going to push myself again to get an extra dice.
Okay,
Oh,
nice.
that should move the clock.
Yeah. I could have offered you a devil's bargain, but it's moot anyway. But a great effect with a 6 means that I think, yes, uh, you say that you work for us now, and they look still pretty scared, but they glance at each other and kind of just straighten up and just say, "Who are you? Given that you're our new employers, are you friends of Silhouettes?"
Yes. We are friends of Silhouette, and there will be movies at least 3 times a week.
They their eyes kind of go wide, and then they take turns whispering. Like one whispers into the other's ear, and then the other one whispers something back, and then they just they hold out their hands like they're expecting you to handcuff
We don't need handcuffs, do we? Let me rephrase that. We're not going to use handcuffs. You're going to come with us. You're not going to be afraid, and you're not going to have to deal with the psycho with the weird knife.
Not that psycho, anyway. And there's
them.
a flick of a lighter as just a bare flame in the darkness as Syl will light up another cigarette that's not broken. And I'm sure you've got a lot of questions, as do I.
Yes. But I think that if we stay here, uh, the the others will come. We need to leave. Where are
I
we
think we
going?
should be leaving. Stairs. let's move.
All right. So I think that because these goon reinforcements are still only at 2 out of 6, um, I think the question now, from a role perspective, is not can you get out? Can you? I mean, because you could run, but part of the question might be, do you feel like you want to be trying to take any of the stuff they have here with you?
Sil, you're the one that wanted to leave the place empty.
I do.
Mhm.
I don't
I
know what
mean,
any of this stuff
obviously,
is.
if you scavenge a bunch of equipment from here, that goes some distance towards setting up your own nest, right? But you would
Right.
have to be able to carry it out, disconnect it from here, and that risks, coming into contact with the reinforcements.
Everybody
we
grab something.
yeah, just grab something interesting. That means
Okay.
you too as well. Grab something interesting.
All right.
I get
All right.
So
So,
quick action.
yeah, I think this is like um I think that we have someone sort of lead the role, and then we can have the help from the others, and we determine that this is risky because you know that the goon reinforcements are on their way, and I would say it's standard to try to grab stuff. Um, I think that there might be a question too, though, of like, how are you just running out? Are you just carrying it? Did you arrange for something that would be like a getaway, or so like, because what I'm doing is adjudicating the role right now based on the idea that you're literally just grabbing stuff in your hands and you're just going to run out the door with it and run down the street with it.
I would like to turn back the clock and borrow the car again.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was going to suggest.
I want to suggest that Slade has the car.
Okay.
Yeah, Slade was with us, and he's the driver too.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. So,
So he's ready and waiting.
Slade has the car. You know what? Let's say he knew how to get a van. I'll buy that.
Okay.
Let's actually have him do. You know what? Let's do an acquire asset roll as a flashback. Acquire asset is normally a downtime move, but we can do it in this context as part of just taking into account certain limitations and whether this might be just a temporary thing. So acquire asset. Let's see. I'm just seeing some of the.
The roll the cruise tier, I think.
Yeah. Where is?
170.
Yeah. Yeah. So acquire asset, a vehicle. I think we're looking for, like, you know what? Actually, I take it back. I'm going to just offer for you that one of the things that is already part of the Limmerfield gang's whole deal is the assets that they have are unmarked white autopod vans. So I think there's one parked around back. So what I'll say is that's already down there, and you could grab the keys off of one of the downed guys. So the vehicle is there, and you could steal it.
I like that.
All right. Love that. Okay, so I think who's leading the role, and what trait are you using to try to say you are getting the good stuff, and everyone else is helping you do it?
That sounds like a wrench roll to me, so I think I should lead the role.
Yeah. Point out what
Okay.
the important things are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and be
the
able
hard
to
to get.
disconnect it without it being damaged.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I think that it sounds like Silhouette doesn't have the stress to spare to help, but I think that the informants here do, and so I will give you increased effect for their assistance. Are you helping Red with stress or no?
I am almost. I only have like 3 left.
Okay, fair enough. So then we'll call this
Plenty.
a risky great roll for Crash.
Okay, risky, great. And I'm gonna burn 2 more stress and get 1 more die.
Yeah.
I got a 4.
Okay. So I think what that means is then in this case, I am going to tick the. Oops, I didn't mean to do the random choose. I was going to tip it not all the way back up to 5, but just up to 3 as a partial consequence. But you do get 2 ticks towards completing your nest. You got enough equipment to get yourself started there. You're maybe going to need more. But so I think what you recognize is everyone's starting to get antsy. You don't know how long the reinforcements might be. You decide it's time to bug out with what you've got. Y'all pile into the van, and where are you headed for right now? Are you just headed straight to like Silk Shore or to your
Yeah.
Okay.
I think a slightly indirect route, but
Sure. I think that what you discover as you've got there is that you now have Afton and Ada Alcott. They are brother and sister. They insist that they're not twins. They seem to feel like it's very important that you understand that. They do a lot of staring at Silhouette. So there's just, but they seem, certainly timid right now. They're following instructions. They're a little skittish. You can imagine like lab rabbits. They're they seem relatively harmless now that they don't have homemade tasers hooked up to the building's power grid. But yeah, they're kind of huddled up next to each other, sitting with their knees pulled up to their chest next to each other in the back of this van. But as you're heading out to where you're going to set up, we can imagine that you had given some thought. Does anyone want to do a flashback for having chosen the location? We could just say, if we want to,
The location
for example,
of what?
Where are you taking them? Where's your community informant nest going to be? I mean, you got them in a van right now. What are you?
Right. I
what's the
thought
plan?
we.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
we were gonna find a clock tower that was
Clock
nearby
tower.
Right.
where we
Yes.
are.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
asking if you want to have established that in a flashback.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Well, this was your
Okay.
idea, you guys. Come on.
For some reason, I thought we were still taking him back to our place.
You tell me what you're doing. I'm trying to guess what you are going to do. I'm not telling you what to do. You
we
tell
could
me
start
what you're
there,
doing.
put them in front of a movie, get them distracted by bright
Okay.
lights, and then we'll set up the place.
All right. Okay.
That
so
sounds
yes,
like
you
a
get
good
you
idea.
get them back to your hidden lair. What movie do you put on for them? Obviously,
Marley
it doesn't have to
and
be a real
Me.
movie or Marley.
Marley and Me.
Oh no.
It's about a robot dog and its human owner.
All right. So now I'm going to put a clock on here to say you need to get their nest established before they get to the end of that movie. Because they seem they're really into this robot dog. Anyway, yeah. So I guess you have equipment. Tell me, so essentially, like right now, we have not established that you have found a clock tower. But you guys tell me, just in the fiction, what are your characters doing or what have you already done to establish this?
I was talking to Slade the entire time we were driving.
Yeah.
About, we need to find a place. Do you know of any place that we can kind of squat in and take over like we did
Okay.
with the theater,
Yeah.
something close by.
Instead of driving straight back home, we could drive through the neighborhood and scout out
Yeah,
Well,
like
yeah.
look
So
at
buildings.
I mean,
how.
absolutely, you can if you're just like looking for a place that you think would be a good spot. I mean, this
Yeah.
is yeah. So I think um, Slade's assistance on this because he
Actually,
knows
and
the
ask
neighborhood.
the Knot twins to help. What would be a good place for them?
Ah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think that this is a controlled role because you're not, on any sort of an immediate ticking clock. You just won't have access to their services until this is done. So it's controlled, and I'll say with Slade's and their assistance, I'll give you, this is a controlled, great role.
All right. Controlled. Great. What is it? What am I rolling for though?
So it sounds like survey is what we did before when you were like
Okay.
looking for a place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. I clicked the button. Turned off. Controlled. Great. Oh man. I'm gonna close my eyes and hope for the best.
That's a
Look at
5.
that.
A
That's
5.
a 5. But a
Nice.
5 with a great effect. I think you could, for example, you're going to potentially have a reduced effect, which would give you one more tick. Or there's going to be a minor complication.
Minor complication.
Okay. I think that what I'll say is we'll go ahead and say, yeah, you fill the clock. You've got the place. I think that as you get them set up, I'll just go ahead and lean into this idea that we've already kind of established that these informants are going to be able to work for you right now, but they are going to not only are they just like they stop talking anytime Silhouette's in the room. They do a lot of staring. You're getting a vibe that there's something really weird going on there, and that there's going to potentially be difficulty related to it in the future. And so you don't really know what the actual outcome is now, but I'm just going to basically say you've got a gut feeling that this is going to be something you're going to have to deal with at some point.
Okay.
But you have completed this this job. I think that because we're at like a little past our normal time, maybe we go ahead and leave it here, and we can do the aftermath next time. But I think let's go ahead and we can do our end of session stuff where you check your what XP you got and so on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, I had a witty line. I forgot to use it.
Oh no.
So I have a question about keys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
If you do something like how I kind of throw Lloyd under the bus and electrocuted him, would that develop a key?
I mean, you could choose to like, because you only picked 2 to start, right? You can just decide on a new one whenever you want.
I'm trying to remember what word you used. I
Well,
was like, that's a key.
well,
Imperious?
so looking down, so at the bottom of your sheet, there's a whole bunch of possible example keys you could choose for your playbook. You don't have to pick any of those, but those are just potential ones that you could choose.
Yeah. I kind of want
I
to go
mean,
with
generally speaking, those are usually positive traits, and then they could go either way. But
Mm. I'll have to think about that.
yeah.
But I
So
think I'm going to add one. I'll let you know.
okay, yeah. But so yes, you can absolutely just add one if you want. Okay, so I think while we're talking about you, Paretta, um, did you mark XP when you did desperate actions or 0 dot actions?
I don't think I had any. Oh wait, I did have a 0.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you have
Yeah.
you didn't have any desperate ones?
I didn't do any
Okay.
desperate ones today.
All
It
right.
was like all mark.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
I was pretty
So
desperate most of the
you
time.
can
Yeah.
definitely roll
Yeah.
back up through the the log to see what other what ones that you did. So if you didn't do any desperate or 0 dot actions, then that's fine.
I think I did one 0 dot action.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so remember too that you can place the XP either in that playbook advancement or in the tracks that are above by insight, prowess, and resolve. And the
Right.
reason that you would do either one is whether you're trying to save up for like a new special ability on your playbook or whether you want to give yourself another action dot. So once per session, when you hit a key, mark it 1 XP and mark the key. Did you do that this time? I think you were eccentric or
I did
charismatic.
hit. Yeah, I did hit my key, both of my keys.
Okay. But did you mark XP for when you did it?
I'm doing it now.
Okay. All right. You get so like once per session, you get 1 XP for a key, and then you can have role played the keys otherwise, but you still only get 1 XP per session for it. But then at the end of each session, for each item below, mark 1 XP or 2 if it happened multiple times. Did you address a challenge with knowledge or paranormal power?
Yes.
Yeah. Want to give
Yeah.
me examples?
I was using my device to listen into people's brains.
Yeah.
And
you used your connection to a loyal resonance entity to take a shot for you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it could justify 2 for that. Did you struggle with issues stemming from a deadlock? No, because no one has deadlocks yet. All right. But so that sounds like I could buy 2. So Falwell, make sure you marked for desperate actions or 0 dot actions. Did you? If you've done that already, good.
Yeah.
Okay, and then obviously, you could get 1 for doing a key. And what about addressing a challenge with technical skill or cleverness? I think you did that.
I definitely did that. Yeah.
Definitely. So.
Does that also gives me experience?
Yes. So are you looking at the bottom of your character sheet where it
Oh,
says
okay.
marking
Every
XP?
time you're desperate or 0 dot action.
Yes, this is exactly what I was reading.
Yep. Okay.
And then at the end of every session, from each item below, mark 1 XP or 2 if it happened multiple times. You addressed a challenge with technical skill or cleverness.
Yep.
And then, of course, Vesper, you have all the same ones as everyone else, but then also, did you address a challenge with stealth or deception?
Yeah, I mean, I was sneaking around, seeing the place, and running from behind and moonwalking. I didn't even go in the front door.
Yeah. One other element that I'll just point out to everyone on your character sheets is that there is a gather information suggested questions for each playbook. There's a little section there. So just when you want to do a gather information roll, those are the sorts of things that you might be good at asking about. Or that you could do gather information rolls for. All right, so if everyone's got their XP, I think that will do it for this session, and we will find out what's the, you can also now all mark, we can, on your crew sheet, you can mark the little informants.
Whee!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
So now y'all have +1D for more info, and you now also have your new informants, Afton and Ada Alcott. And what will happen next for the scoundrels of inSPECTRE, we'll find out when we return for more adventure on so many levels.
So
many
So
creepy
many
stairs.
levels.